is buffer time? What is buffer time? Is what buffer time?
Hello again, Buffer Timers. We're back after 5 months without new Trek. And we're going to talk about some Discovery, the first 2 episodes that dropped this week. Before we get into that, let's go around clockwise and introduce ourselves. I'm Dustin from Best of Trek, Worst of Trek.
I am Scott from the YouTube channel Opinions No One Cares About.
I'm Ren from Ren Rants.
Wonderful. So, I think this is the first time in like 4 or 5 weeks that we haven't had a pile of news to go along with this as well. So we can just jump right into the episodes. So the first one I've got is a real softball question. What do you guys think of Fred, the Soong-type android dropped on us?
The first time I saw him, I think it was in a Twitter post, and I'm pretty sure I responded, it looks like someone named Narnian Song created a data-type android called Dada.
In my review, I call him a rogue data cosplayer gone wrong.
Nice.
You're not wrong.
But I do love his like weirdly like comical demeanor while he's trying to be like very like pleasant. It kind of like reminds me of like, I don't know, like a Fallout character or something. Like it's good.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Fallout?
Not yet. It's out on the... Is it out next week, right? Or did it...
I thought it was already... I don't have Amazon anymore, so I'm not... I won't be watching it right away. That's why I was wondering.
I need to check because I want to see that.
I love the Fallout game, so I'm really into wanting to see that eventually. I just don't want to get Amazon. I'd rather wait for it to come out on disc and just buy it, I think, at this point.
It'll be out April 12th, it looks like. The trailer did look good. I'm like really excited about it.
Yeah, I've been pretty against Amazon ever since it seems it won't show or it won't run the Paramount Plus app.
That is rude of it. I'm still angry at them for canceling Paper Girls and A League of Their Own and basically anything else good and queer that they get their hands on.
Oh, what was that first one that they really did with the transgender dad?
Transparent.
Yes, that was pretty good. First season I liked a lot, and then it kind of fell off after that. Anyway, as for Fred, I liked the character a lot. I think the actor did a good job, but yeah, you're not wrong about like the cosplay feel there. It doesn't quite come together as a whole android.
Yeah, and he does sort of have like this data mentality and sensibility, but also if he's an Alton Soong creation, you think he would be just a little bit more advanced. Like I'm pretty sure he still wasn't using contractions.
Maybe I did like his mannerisms though, that were like that was definitely above Data's ability.
Yeah. I think they implied that he was like Soong inspired rather than like Soong type.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think might explain why he's not more better. But yeah, I thought he was really fun. I'm kind of sad he was such a short-lived character because like the one scene that we get is so fun.
So that leads to, what do you think about Stamets and Culber working together this season, starting with having to, dissect Fred for what he saw?
I mean, it does almost kind of seem like it's a little bit thrown together. Like this is kind of the case where they should kind of stick in their lane a little bit because one knows the engineering, one knows the psychology. And I don't know if the two really go together at this point, like when they're, first taking apart Fred and then trying to figure out Mal and Locke. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it makes sense when they're working on Fred because it kind of feels like a callback to like Crusher and Geordi working together on Data, which happened a few times. But like, yeah, I agree that beyond that, it is a little bit weird that they're sort of teamed up. I don't mind it because like I do like seeing them together on screen more, but it kind of feels like they don't really have anything for Stamets to do anymore, and so they're kind of just trying to come up with like
Literally, that's like how they
stuff for
started the
him to
episode.
do, like scientific luminary thing. Like I was like, oh no.
Yeah, he's just kind of like free floating, fancy free. I
Yeah,
guess you
so much so
assume that
that,
he's still doing the spore drive thing, but we don't even
yeah,
see
but
that.
now like he's the only one doing that now.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, we've decided to go another way with being able to appear anywhere in the universe instantly. Oh, sure.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't quite understand. I guess like one of them said they just want Discovery to like still be one of a kind or something, but they could just take a while to develop the spore drive for everyone else. Like that's fine. It's the last season. I don't get it.
I really did like that they finally got Culber and Stamets together to do something. But that was just the first episode. In the second episode, they're just kind of hanging out together, doing work stuff together, which is like, well, all right, fun, but it doesn't make sense now. Okay.
We don't know anyone else's names, so
Right.
I will give it to them.
Like, everyone else in engineering, go. I don't know what everyone else needs to.
You're all literally not essential. Leave.
That first episode, for as non-often as we get the auxiliary characters named and talked about, I think we hit everybody's name in that first episode. All the ones that we already knew anyway, like your extra bridge crew.
I did think it was funny that like Burnham's like, come on, Reese and Owo, let's go on an away mission. And we're like, okay. And they each get like 2 lines and then immediately get trapped. And then Burnham's on her own. Like, come on, give him a little more. It's the last season, really?
So I know there are people that aren't big fans of the TNG episode, The Chase. What is your take on that episode? Do you guys enjoy it? What do you like about it? What don't you, if you don't?
Well, I mean, I was saying like the first thing I put into here is calling this the first episode, a literal mystery box. But for a contained episode with a single mystery box in it, I mean, they play it well. And it kind of has galactic stakes, which is clearly what they're going for in this entire season. But then they can look back and like, yeah, this one episode of TNG that, we referenced at the beginning, they did all that in an hour. And also like this close, like this close to the Riker cameo, man. No, you had to reference Picard instead.
After
You've already done that on this show.
After rewatching The Chase, I like it for setting up the Picard like archaeology thing, because that's my headcanon after he like retires from the Federation. Obviously, I know I've talked about it. I just like it. But I thought it was fun. I liked I love that they're all, this huge buildup that it's some kind of like weapon or powerful technology, and instead it's just like a message of togetherness. And they're all like in awe for a moment and then like play it off and get annoyed and just like leave. Like that's it. So I do think that kind of like robs the stakes a little bit in Discovery being like, oh, we found the technology. And it's like, okay, that's like cool, but it seems like that technology takes like millions of years, literally millions of years to work. And like, I guess I can understand people who don't like the like intelligent design elements of the progenitors like seeding everything, but I think it's a really fun way to retcon like why there are so many humanoids who look exactly the same all over the galaxy. Like I like it. I don't hate it. It's a good concept.
Yeah, I've always liked The Chase. It's a great mystery box type episode, but that's also kind of it. It's a great premise for an episode, but what I'm already seeing is that dragging it out into a seasons long thing already isn't working by episode 2 for me. And I'm not saying it's like not working, but it's merely serviceable. Like, all right, episode 1, like really got me charged. Like, all right, we are on this quest. And then by episode 2, it's like, all right, well, Saru's leaving, and we found the piece we needed. Great.
I am
What
worried they're
else you
gonna
got?
Red Angel it again.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That's what I'm seeing here too.
Like, I'm a little hopeful because I do like the MacGuffin that gives them a reason to like travel to all these different planets, so we get a bit of a change of scenery, and I think it could work well. But they really love to like make a real big deal out of everything, and like it always has to have this like huge manufactured, like, oh my god, the universe is gonna end stakes. And I wish it could just be like a cool mystery where they want to like put it together because it's interesting and like a brilliant scientific discovery.
So what Norman says here brings me to, it's kind of an answer to one of the other questions I had here. Does the progenitor tech actually seem like a red directive level mission? Because to me it does, and it's like, oh, well, I guess Donald Trump could clone himself and make a galaxy full of Trumps, something like that. That's like, what's the worst that's going to happen here? And it's
Seed
yes,
Trumps across the galaxy.
I keep thinking it's like
Trumps and your Cardassian Trumps.
We just seed the galaxy with Redditor mod Chad.
So hot.
Aside from that, it's like you're starting a billion-year science experiment. The only thing I can think is what Norman's saying here, that like maybe it overwrites like the rest of stuff, and like, oh, well, that's getting into some gray areas.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense as being like concerning. Also, like, this is the first time we've heard of red directives, right? Like, I looked it up, and as far as I know, we've never heard of it before. And they don't really explain what it is either. Like, we know it's gravely important enough for Burnham to go from being like, well, okay, we can't do that to I'll get my crew, but like, okay.
Yeah, basically it's like, oh, this is a red directive. Well, that's bad. Why is that bad? It is. Really important.
It's so important, we're not going to clue in the CNC of Starfleet. I want to know more about
this in the loading room from the Matrix.
I was thinking of Janet Void from
yeah,
The Good
that's
Place,
what it makes me think of too.
I think it's kind of cool. But what I want to know more about is the command structure in Starfleet. Like, is President Rillick clued in on this? Is it
Probably
anybody besides Kovich initially clued in on this?
I'm interested because I think Kovich is going to be like more than he seems. He's a very sketchy dude at this point. Like, I don't care who's down there or what happens to them. Okay, buddy, calm down.
That's been his thing the whole time, though. We need to know what is going on with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, you'd assume that he's just like the head of Section 31, but he's like also more out in the open than Section 31 that we've seen.
He's got just like
most places
a lot of like secret wisdom vibes. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he turns out to be some like long-lived species, like an El-Orion or something. Like, yeah.
Yeah, what I want to know more about also is at the end of the first episode, when Burnham confronts him, he's like in the weirdest freaking hollow ever. And she kind of alludes to it like being just one of the many planets that could be like the twin moon thing. But I feel like there's more to that. I can't find my
yeah, it was an important enough image to like make it into the trailer too. Like, I want to... It's interesting. I also want to know what exactly Locke is. The way his like face was all squishy when he took his helmet off. Like, if he's a changeling, I'm going to be upset. I need him to be anything else.
There it is. Yeah. I get the sense that like maybe it's like his lost world or something from an apocalypse, because I can't fathom that he is just going like through the hollows
to, like, bring his people back.
Yeah, oh god, that
wow.
I think you might be onto something there.
That is, we should write that down.
I think you might have just solved the whole key to the whole thing there, and I would not
Cool,
be
we don't need to watch
surprised
the
if
rest.
that's.
Call Kovic.
That wouldn't be terrible. I'd be okay with that being like the resolution.
Though at the same time, I mean, I guess if you have the tech, maybe you can like find ways to do things that don't take a billion years to do
Yeah.
a science experiment. But
Mhm.
Maybe
I
he's
guess
like trying to Jetrel it or something.
Oh, we're doing alternate timelines. One of these?
Maybe. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he's like from the future. He just gives off guy who knows more than he should and like
Mhm.
has his own priorities kind of vibes. Like I just don't buy that he's like his interests are specifically just the Federation.
Right.
Okay. All right. Moving on from that. So, in the second episode, what did you think of the basically episode long Saru and Burnham goodbye? The big goodbye.
It made me cry. I thought it was pretty good. I'm sorry. I'm very sentimental.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like right before that, when he's talking with Tarina and he's like, "Are you asking me to marry you?" I'm like, "Yes, yay! I've been shipping this for the whole time."
I went from sad crying about Booker and Burnham to like happy crying about Saru and Tarina, like immediately. Such emotional whiplash.
I'm already kind of a little over this whole thing Burnham and Book have been doing over these past 2 episodes, where they're both super focused on the mission, but still have time to be awkward around each other.
I kind of like it because I think it's sort of realistic, where they didn't like leave things very clearly defined, and then they've spent all this time apart. Neither of them have reached out to the other one because they've been waiting for the other one to reach out to them, and they both just got like hurt feelings over it, and now they're kind of like dancing around saying what needs to be said. So I didn't hate it. I thought it was good, especially as a contrast to all the action. But I admit, if they don't resolve it soon, it will start to get a little tedious.
Mm-hmm.
I love bringing the Tribble back here.
Yeah,
we saw in the beginning of the first episode of last season too, with them walking through the corridors, which we got some explanation around about that. Like, is it a sentient Tribble? What's going on with this guy?
Is it like a neutered Tribble?
Mm.
Oh God, I would hope so. Yeah, I thought it was really about the only thing worth watching in that episode was Saru and Burnham just, having these heart-to-heart moments, and it also played into the main story. Like, oh, Burnham realizes that people deserve second chances, for better or worse. I'll get to Raynor here in a minute. But I really enjoyed that ending, and that carried this episode. Okay, I guess.
Yeah, it does.
I liked that it felt like she was sort of paying her own second chance forward. Although admittedly, like, at least a whole bunch of people didn't die in Raynor's case. Thanks to her, but still.
Yeah, well.
Bring my emotional support Tribble to work. Okay. Let's move on to Raynor here, because he factors pretty heavily into this new season.
Apparently he's
Was Raynor justified in having the Antares destroy the explosives from orbit and risking destroying the settlement?
No, 30% chance is way too high a chance to risk thousands of people's lives on. Bro's crazy. Like, I know it's not entirely his fault that the scavengers were then like, oh, hey, that's a good idea. Those do-gooders are going to have to stop those people from dying. But, like, sir, I understand, like, why he was, like, very focused on the mission, but, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I get it. It's like red directive, whatever that means, which apparently means like at all costs. But this also doesn't seem very Starfleet or Federation, even when you take an at all costs into consideration. And clearly the top brass didn't seem to think so either.
Right.
Yeah, he was also being like very dramatic about their prospects of finding them if they escaped again, but it's like it took Book literally like 2 minutes to find them. Like they found them immediately. Uh, I did like their like discount pod racing scene though. That was kind of fun.
This is true, yeah.
It's a very Star Wars looking like planet that this all happens on.
Yeah, and the music too. When they were like going through the city a couple of times, I was like, that is very either Star Wars or Indiana Jones. Either way, it's what's his name?
George Lucas is involved somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the CGI and the AR wall stuff here was worked pretty well. I think it worked better than when Burnham gets sucked out into space. I really like that like black hole grenade thing effect. That was cool, but then as soon as she gets like sucked out, it gets very plasticky and CGI-y, and I didn't like it after that. But the rest of the CGI in this episode was really good.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. I tend to like be as forgiving as I can with that, but less so in Discovery than like, for example, there's like a Peacock show called The Ark that's pretty good, but they have a lot of like external like repairing the ship scenes and stuff, and they look awful, like just really, really bad. And this scene in Discovery almost looked that bad. Oh
no! Oh dear! Oh, there he is.
No idea what just happened there.
Very strange.
Weird.
Okay. So it's Norman's question. No, Rayner shouldn't be fired for what the villains did. He should be fired for what he did, regardless of whether that avalanche came down because of what his ship did or not. He shouldn't have done that.
He also almost let his ship get ripped apart to like try to hold the scavenger ship, and Burnham had to be like, "Hey, you're literally gonna kill everyone on your ship? Like, are you insane, dude?" He's like, "No, I can win this game of chicken." It's like, are you sure? Are you really that sure?
And you know what? Think, hey, Disco just showed up too. Like, we can throw a second tractor beam on this ship, right? Make sure it's really not going anywhere.
Yeah, there were options.
So I guess then that leads to the question, does Rayner deserve a second chance?
I think losing his captaincy is like a good start. I think we'll see how he earns his second chance when he's actually first officering. I do like Rayner though. Like the character's really fun. The scene where he like interrupts Burnham and Book just made me cackle. It was really like he was so gleeful about it. He just is not ever sorry.
Yeah, he really just he's just like, guys, just look, we're busy here, like fucking get over with or something. Just we need to get going.
Yeah, we don't have time for your feelings. Oh, you guys were dilly-dallying? Okay, well I'll just charge in blindly by myself then.
What did you think in the second episode where he like just broke into Tilly and Adira working and like, I'm always monitoring comms.
Right?
Well, he was helpful, but that was weird.
Yeah, and when he says like, this is a red directive, right? I've been involved in 7 of them. Took point in 4. How often is this a problem?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, coming out of the burn, probably quite often. You know, that's like the whole thing with him. It's it's the end of an era, and he's not moving on with the rest of the galaxy as well as,
we're still working with burn tech out here.
Yeah. I'm gonna let it burn no more.
Yeah, I
do also think there had been at least somebody on Disco who'll hear about this, who's like at least a lieutenant commander's like, what the hell? We're bringing on a random XO now?
Yeah, Discovery, like, not great at promoting from within.
Yeah, when I first saw him in like the trailers and stuff, and like, all right, we're adding another captain to the mix. Like Saru's a captain and Burnham's a captain. And well, we need to have another captain for Discovery because we have a new captain every season. That's part of the trope. I was like, oh well, this guy's gonna be the captain. Maybe by the end.
Oh, that's
Yeah, maybe.
possible.
I really thought like like Saru's going off to be an ambassador. I thought Burnham was kind of getting groomed to work under Rillick, like as a presidential advisor or something. And then we'd get another. I was hoping we were going to get Captain Reese, but too much to hope for.
It's wild. Like we have all of this like unsung bridge crew that we have not had any chance to get to know. Like I do like what they're doing with Rayner. I think it's fun, but it's also like really not giving any of those guys a chance to shine. Okay.
Did you think it made any sense that Maul and Locke just put Reese and Oo into like just stun bubbles rather than like just straight up killing them? Because that seemed kind of weird to me.
It sounds like they're trying to make them into sort of like, like lovable rogue
Redeemable
characters where they're
villains.
not like just killing people for the sake of killing them. Because, like, it doesn't seem like they were actually trying to destroy the settlement. They knew those Starfleet do-gooders would figure out some way probably to, like, try to stop the avalanche. I think. So I think it makes some sense that they're, like, trying to reduce how many people they kill. I think they're just trying to, like, survive.
Yeah, I think Windgrace hit on something. We were talking about this in chat a few days ago. Nathan from N Squared brought it up first, that they think that Rayner's here so that we get somebody that we're not supposed to like, but we can get mildly attached to through the rest of the season, so that he can die and then like redeem himself by saving everybody else, and his death will have some meaning or something. I don't think they're wrong. That sounds like a perfectly disco plot to me.
Yeah.
I think you guys are right.
We'll make sure it's the episode where he gets like a lot of origin and backstory so that we really, really care about him.
Oh, give him the Arium treatment. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Say that. Oh, poor Arium. Okay. What else do we have in this wonderful couple of episodes?
I liked that Book was transparently like jealous of Locke and Maul and their like little courier romance, like reminiscing about his little adventures with Burnham before Discovery found her again. That was really cute. Like he's pining so much.
I still really want the Discovery comic book series where you get to see all of the fun things that Book and Burnham did in that year before Discovery showed up.
Yeah,
we're starting to get down there in the questions, but you're just talking about Book and Maul and Locke, and one of the only other things we had left here was, is it believable that Book knows who Maul is? Very small galaxy.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's like very Star Trek.
It's just too convenient.
Listen, if every other side character isn't someone's secret brother or secret dad or secret clone, I don't know what series it is. Like, I think it's, unrealistic, yes. True to the franchise, also yes.
Yeah, we've been doing that a bit lately.
We found this evil Romulan. Oh, it's Tasha Yar's daughter.
Right?
I was kind of hoping we were going to find the body of Scylla or something on this 800-year-old Romulan ship.
Fair point.
Instead, it's just a random Romulan that we saw in one episode once.
Random background extra too, not the one who spoke or had any lines. I checked on Memory Alpha, the original version of the character is uncredited.
Oh man,
he's just some guy.
And they didn't get the same act back for the hologram either.
No one knows who he is.
Speaking of great mysteries of don't know who they are in Trek, the mystery that I would love to solve in my Trek detective days is, who was the woman in the first season of Star Trek the next generation that did the computer before Majel Barrett.
Oh, right.
The first like 12 or 15 episodes are somebody that is completely uncredited and nobody seems to know the answer to.
That is a mystery.
Random tangent, but we've got a
Mal's
boatload
actually
of time and like one question left.
Well,
And you know, it's kind of Discovery's fault. We were just talking about this before the show started. This everything is like face value. There isn't a boatload to talk about and opine over here. It's you know, it's a pretty decent story, but yeah, it's a take it or leave it kind of thing. Not a lot to talk about.
No real B plots either. Like it's all A plot. Everyone's all involved in the A plot. We don't really have like usually in full-length Star Trek episodes and even in a bunch of Lower Decks ones, there's like an A plot and a B plot and sometimes a C plot. So even if like, you know, your one main plot is mostly action heavy, you usually have like a more emotional storyline as well.
Like when you got it, Win Grace. Maul is just another child of Sarek. No explanation needed. Burnham's gonna find out this is really her, like, you know, great grandniece. So, the only other main question I have here is actually about an upcoming thing. That little trailer we got at the end of episode 1. What do you think's going on with the Constitution class ship we see coming out of the nebula?
I might have ignored that part.
That may or may not be the Enterprise. I know Trek culture has already said, "Oh, this is the Enterprise." I'm not reading the 0. I see the 17, and the 0, where the 0 would be, is completely burn marked out. So it's not necessarily the Enterprise.
Totally missed it. I'll teach me how to pay attention at critical points. I think it's because I had a dog trying to eat my sleeve.
I have no really excuse for not paying attention to that. I just didn't. But if it is the Enterprise, that would be interesting to see what their version of the Enterprise looks like. Or whatever version of the Enterprise looks like. She does look old. And battered.
Yeah, then we see another shot with it flying, and we can't tell. It's just a Constitution class something.
Yeah.
We can't wait to hear them explain this one. Like, oh, that's not the one.
It shows up and then like fucking hails them, and it's Paul Wesley.
Oh wow, that'd be pretty cool. He's like the only rank above captain that was like any good in TOS.
I wouldn't hate it.
That would be pretty cool. All right, you guys have anything else or chat? Throw us questions. Let's talk.
What do you guys have any speculation for like what Locke is?
I think he's clearly part Kelpian, but
really?
The first time I saw him, I was like, it just looks like another Kelpian to me. And then when they were like, unknown, I was like, okay. Because it looks like they just messed with Saru's makeup a little bit and called it a new species.
His face was very squishy though, and I'm like, what's that about? Like, is he some little shapeshifty guy? Like I said before, like, if he's a changeling, I'm gonna be so mad. I don't want another changeling storyline. But like, what's his deal? I'm excited to like learn more about how he and Maul ended up together. I think they're very cute and I love them. And I'm so sure one of them's gonna die by the end of the season. I feel it deep in my soul.
Thank you, Dale.
Not wrong, but that might actually be a thing.
And
maybe the Romulan was actually just really sad that his mother died, and then
sure.
He's so sad he figured out an ancient mystery and hid it all over the place.
This will evolve into my mom eventually.
This does dissolve. Oh, speaking of which, this does kind of dissolve into being just sort of an Easter egg thing, doesn't it? Because this is 800 years ago, so clearly the galaxy not only isn't as explored as it is now, but we're going to have to visit a bunch of familiar haunts because that's places we know from older canon.
Speaking of familiar haunts, this particular shot here, it kind of reminded me of like a different angle of from the cage when Pike is like he's trying to save Vina, but it's like
Rigel
going
7?
back to the mission he was just on Rigel 7.
Yeah.
And it's got like that palace in the background. This like, the thing you see down in the valley there kind of reminds me of that same like palace and area.
Yeah.
I like that the effect kind of reminds you of like the matte paintings that they used to use
It
in
does.
older Star Trek shows.
Yeah, I
As
thought so
opposed to,
too.
like,
This
purely
this one
CGI.
felt more artsy than just like, oh well, here's a CGI landscape. All right. If we don't have any...
exactly
Go
how
ahead.
much more convenient things can be. Like, oh, no, seriously, like Book knows who Maul is. Oh, we got to go to Trill next. Hey, you know who's on Trill? Gray's on Gray again. Oh, Raynor's out of a job and needs redemption. Well, there's a job opening because Saru's getting married.
I kind of dig the Dread Pirate Roberts thing that goes on with the Booker's name. Like, oh, well, I got it from this guy who got it from his mentor.
Yeah, that's really cute. Ooh, I wonder if he's going to pass on the title sometime before the end of the season.
Oh, that's a good thought. Maybe he'll pass it on to Locke or something.
Oh, that'd be cute!
Well, that would make a lot of sense. Like, if they don't like vaporize these two or put them in jail or whatever, I guess like Maul is like being the daughter of previous one, could be married to the next Booker. That'd be interesting.
Right.
Right, you've hit on like a whole bunch of things that are like super, super plausible this season. Holy crap!
Mm-hmm.
It's just
All right,
the
well,
formula, baby.
It's kind of
Let's do our
See if I'm right.
Let's do our out of 10s on each individual episode, and we can come back and if we want to talk about some more stuff after. All right, so for the first episode, the Red Directive, I've got an 8. I liked it a lot. This was probably the best start to a season Discovery's had. It had me engaged and involved and sets up a whole bunch of great stuff.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. Maybe bump it up a half a point. I shouldn't have watched these two, one right after the other and yesterday, and not taken any notes. No, it has a good setup. I do like seeing where all the characters are at this point, and the few that have kind of straggled, like come back together. Like even though Tilly's off teaching at the academy, she's still able to contribute apparently from Starfleet headquarters. I mean, we'll see what happens since they're setting up yet another mystery box around a literal mystery box, but I'm here for it. 8.5.
Yeah, I would also probably give it like an 8. I thought it was a really strong season opener. The action was really fun, but it was balanced well with all of the emotional stuff. I thought they did a good job setting up some like final arcs for our characters. And I'm just so happy for Saru.
Okay, so that's an average of an 8. And moving on to Under the Twin Moons, I am not as generous on this one. I loved the goodbye between Burnham and Saru, but otherwise it's just a serviceable episode. It moves the series, the season plot line along, and that's it. And we reuse the plot from the Arsenal of Freedom. Hooray!
Yes, literally.
That gives me a 4.5. It's serviceable. It's okay.
That was like literally what I thought as soon as those drones popped out. I was like, wait a minute, is this the Arsenal of Freedom planet? But yeah, I'd probably drop this one down closer to a 5, heavier on action than actual plot, and some things were just a little too convenient.
I think I'd be a little bit softer on it than you guys were. I'd give it probably like a 6 or even a 6.5 because I thought the emotional stuff was really good, and I am a sentimental baby. So the goodbye, I cried. I thought it was amazingly well done. I don't know how Doug Jones does that with just an entire face full of latex. It's incredible. He's like just magic. And I didn't hate the planet adventure. It did remind me a little bit of the Hunger Games. But like that scene where she's like running away from the fireballs, but for like a bit too long. I think they could have definitely spent a little less time on the running around of it all and maybe have just squeezed in a B plot or something there to make it a bit stronger. But I liked the Romulan poem, and I thought that was kind of cool how they found the like secret hidden last verse as a way to sort of give them an edge on Locke and Maul. And yeah, I liked the stuff with Book pining over Burnham and just being jealous of Locke and Maul's like cute connection and like the life that he really misses with Burnham. I thought that was sweet. So it was okay. I thought it was a good episode, not a great episode, but pretty good.
Yeah, it's watchable, it's serviceable. It's especially, I'm sure once we come to an end, it'll be just another good piece in the puzzle of the whole season. I hope. But it gives me pause that my biggest criticism of Disco has been that it tends to have a lot of filler in the middle episodes, but it's usually episodes like 5 through 8 or 5 through 9. And I feel like we're already here at episode 2, so I'm kind of worried. I'm hoping that episode 3 gets a little better.
Right.
What
I'm suddenly wondering is if Maul and Locke are on the wrong track, how exactly do they get on the right track again? Because I feel like I'm just wondering how exactly they're going to be able to keep up. And I've had this very sneaking suspicion that there's like someone in Starfleet that's helping them out, and I don't know why it's just been nagging at me through the last 2 episodes.
That's interesting. Maybe a mole.
Yeah.
I feel like they might end up just going back to the planet and searching more diligently, or like they'll look up the kind of poetry it is and realize that they're missing a verse. I don't know.
That's fair.
Yeah, but what I almost oh, I lost it. Oh. If either of you have anything, go ahead. I need to remember what I was going to say.
As to what Scott was saying, I think there's some truth there, because at first I was like, all right, well, I find this very convenient that, all right, Starfleet just found the ship that they've been looking for 800 years, and these particular, hunters that have clearly had dealings and problems with Starfleet in the past suddenly just found this. So I think they're like somewhat clued into what's happening in Starfleet, be it like they're hacking into their databases or somebody's informing them. I think you're onto something there, Scott.
Or somehow the Romulans are behind it.
Nothing's impossible.
Yeah, it is interesting how they know that the stakes are so high and like to go chasing after all of this. I think that's
Del, I'm almost thinking and wondering if Adira not having a crush on Tilly, but they're trying to show asexuality, because Adira even brings up this like idea, oh, well, I love Gray, but I'm really enjoying being alone. So
that's true.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, maybe they just knew that something of importance had been found. They might not know the whole story, but something tipped them off to come here. They didn't just come here because random. I don't think.
Yeah, like they sought out Fred specifically, so they knew whatever they were going after was old and would only attract like a certain type of buyer.
No, yeah, that's a good point. What silly little guys.
Yeah, I got nothing else. Yeah, floor's open if you guys have anything else you want to say about this one. These two, even.
I almost think that like the reason the pacing isn't quite as tight in the second episode is because they knew they were going to air them at the same time, so they're almost making it like an extension of the first episode instead of like making an episode that really can stand on its own 2 feet.
Right.
And I hope that the third episode like gets back into the swing of like having more of its own story, cuz I think it is like I like the idea of like having to travel around for all these clues, but like you were right, Scott, that like it's basically just drawing out the exact storyline of the chase over an entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, it's either going to be great or like not great.
I'm wondering if we're going to get more of these, if every episode is going to start with like these space shots of like nebulas and clouds of dust and stuff. Because so far the first 2 have. It's been interesting enough.
They do like a pretty visual.
Yeah, during at least one of Burnham's logs, I had a shot like this, and I was thinking, yeah, this is nice. You're not really going to see this on the older Trek. They just wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more interesting than every single week the same shot of the D flying by while you're doing a log.
Yep. There might be a planet, might be some stars streaking, either one.
Yeah, but it's pretty much the same thing. You're either going towards you or going away.
It is funny that they can do those visuals now, but chose not to use them in the theme song and instead do like the weird like page canvas like notes thing instead. Like you can now do the coolest like possible imagery of like the ship flying through things, and they didn't.
Yeah, they should have taken a note from Prodigy.
Yeah, it did. We get this, which I think it's kind of cool. It's all right. It's different.
I don't hate
that's for
it,
sure.
But I don't
yeah,
love
that's pretty much it.
Like it's no
right
like
there.
Faith of the Heart level black sheep, but like
but the visuals there were awesome. The song
really
can
good.
just eat a dick, but the visuals I liked a lot.
The song was fine until it went instrumental.
I swear, I feel like somebody told Rick Berman that he had to change the song. And he's like, all right, well, watch me, hold my beer. I'll change the song.
The kids aren't into trumpets anymore, Rick. We got to do something different.
Okay, acoustic guitar.
I do feel like compelled to sing along with it now every time I watch it. And I just feel like a broken man.
It is one of those things that's like so bad it's good almost because you hear it enough times.
It comes all the way back around to being good, I think. Once you watch it enough to like it's just part of the experience.
Yeah, that's kind of
98 chances to appreciate it.
Jesus Christ.
Well, no, because you get 2 that are the Mirror Universe.
Oh, the Mirror Universe.
That is like one of the best intros in all of Trek. So, they didn't completely screw it up. And the same thing here. I really liked in the 3rd season Mirror Universe episodes. They had the like literally mirrored and what am I thinking? Where like the colors are all
inverted
opposite too. Yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was neat.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're all wrapped up here.
Oh my god, the infinity symbol totally is an Uber ring.
Thanks, Del.
Iconic.
All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. We'll come back next Sunday, talk about the third season of Disco, the third episode of Disco Season 5, and hopefully we have more to come at you with.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Scott and Ren, for joining us today. Thank all of you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Till then, live long.